We will now examine the outside of our computer system. The following is a Dell T3600. The first thing an experienced computer user will notice is the fact the tower has an up and a down position. Most of the time this is not very relevant, but if you have a CD drive, it is. Some CD drives have a tray where you place the CD in the tray. It depends on gravity to be able to properly read the disk. Today, as we mentioned earlier, it doesn't really matter if your tower is laying on its back or standing. And this is because we see many CD or DVD drives come with either a slot load or with a tray that requires you to lock the CD/DVD in place. This avoids needing to worry if the computer must be standing or laying on its back. So this particular model, we can actually see that. I have the computer unplugged, so I'll have to do a manual eject of the CD-ROM drive. And it's this little thing here in the middle where our CD can lock into. So let's see if I have a CD somewhere. So I have a burnt copy of Windows 7, and back in the old days, it was just a tray that ejected, and you just sat the CD in the CD-ROM tray like this. And it may or may not read, but these actually have this little thing here in the middle where you actually notch the CD into there, and that way if it's standing on its side or not, it's always going to stay in place. Where the old ones, once the tray closed and if the machine was standing on its side, you never knew if it was going to sit in there like that or if it was like this or like this, and then it had difficulties reading the CD. So with this type of tray load where the CD actually locks in place, if it's laying on its back or standing, it won't matter because it doesn't depend on gravity. This thing here ensures that the disk will always stay put. So what I've done is kind of turn the computer around a little bit. This is the front side of the computer, and I have it laying on its back, and I know that it's properly laying on its back because there's actually rubber feet on one side of the computer. So now I'm looking at the bottom of the computer, and we see those same rubber feet. So on the underneath of here, there's also rubber feet indicating that that's how you would lay the computer down. And if you don't have the rubber feet and you want to be able to lay your computer down, what we typically do is lay it so that the motherboard is down. And you can always tell which side of the case the motherboard is laying on because you can see all of these integrated devices here, and these are integrated into the motherboard, meaning that the motherboard is right here. It's on this side of the computer, and this is the side that we want to make sure is facing down, because again we want to use gravity because there's lots of cards sitting in the computer, and we don't want those cards to accidentally come apart or put stress on the motherboard, so we're just using gravity to make sure that everything stays in place. Computers also have a front and back. So what I've done now is I've stood the computer up, standing on its rubber feet, and this happens to be the front side of the computer. And if you look really closely up here, we see this little square thing here, and that's actually the power button. The power button is typically denoted with a circle that has a slash coming down at the top, and this indicates that this is the power button. So if you take a look at the back side of the computer, it doesn't quite look like the front side of the computer. It does have a lot of busy things going on back here, which I'll explain a little bit later, but I just wanted to show you that this is what the back side of the computer would look like. If we look at the front side of our computer again, we notice that we have a couple of audio jacks here. We have headsets, so this is for like speakers or headsets. Over here, this is a jack for a microphone, so this is for audio input. So this one is audio input and this one is for audio output. And then we have 4 USB ports here across the front. On this particular model, we chose to get media card readers, so if you have a digital camera that comes with media card readers, you can plug those into there. And this is our old familiar CD-ROM drive, which we've already explored. And the other thing that many people, non-technical computer users, typically overlook is this little vent thing right here. And this is how your computer breathes. So air actually goes in through here and then comes out through the back over here. So this is where all the heat is dispersed, is out through the back. So there's a lot of heat that comes out through the back. So if you look at the back side, we have somewhat similar ports. So we have audio jacks in the back as well. We have the ability for an audio input and audio output. We have some serial ports here which are rarely ever used. We have a couple of USB. We have an Ethernet port here. And these are those old style keyboards. So this was for a keyboard connector, and then this one here is for a mouse. We have 4 more USB ports, and then down here we have a plug-in for video. It looks like this particular video card supports 2 different kinds of video outputs. And then down all the way at the bottom we have the power supply. And it looks like we also have the ability for FireWire, since we see 2 FireWire plugs in the back. All Dell computers can be opened and serviced. You can find out how to open your Dell by referring to the service manual on the Dell website.